What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Long Song Saturday. I hope that you're having a beautiful weekend, a good start to the weekend, and let's be honest, what better way to start the weekend than listening to a little Jethro Tull? So we are going to finish our album listen of Minstrel in the Gallery by them with the track Baker Street Muse and Grace, which just graces the very end of the album with a little 37 seconds. But obviously the meat here on this particular side is going to be Baker Street Muse, which is one that you guys have recommended for a long time. A lot of the songs, pretty much most of the songs I do on the channel are recommended by someone, at least one person, more than likely more. And this one has been one that's been on the list since Thick as a Brick, Passion Play, and etc. etc. So here we are with this one. Hope that you guys enjoy the music. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. If you're not having a good weekend, I wish that your weekend and your day gets a little better from here on. If not overwhelmingly so, just a little bit, you know? Let's go ahead and listen to some good music. Let's go ahead and finish out the album, Jethro Tull, Baker Street Muse. Thank you for being here. Really, thank you. I appreciate you. Let's go.
Baker Street Muse, take one. Shit, take two.
Windy bus stop, click shop window here. Shady gentleman fly button feel. In the underpass, a blind man stands with cold flute hands. Symphony match and breath out of time. But you can call me on another line. Indian restaurants that carry my brain. Newspaper warriors changing the names. They advertise from the station stand with cold pretend. Symphony wordplay, I'll be your headline if you catch me another time. Didn't make it with the Baker Street Blues. Couldn't shake it with the Baker Street Blues. Like to take it, I'm just a Baker Street Muse. SQ puddle brew, boys, throw it up, please. Coke and Bacardi, colors and green. From the typing pool goes the mini-skirted princess with great finesse. Fertile earth, mother, your burial mounds is 50 feet down in the Baker Street underground. But what the hell, I didn't make it with the Baker Street Roots. Couldn't shake it with the Baker Street Brews. Like to take it, I'm just a Baker Street Muse. Take a bottle from a line, put your weight on me, and said to beg me to the heart, desperate for more, and as a salt upon the mountain, little man is youth abounding, overground in Asheville County, that you love the buzz, pretend and getting close to where he came from, in the doorway of the stars, between the lamp, the street and Mars, proper they can be, flying button feel, technical testing, all the type of budging, dress to the left divulging, the wrinkles of the years, wedding melodies, fears, shedding them tears, in the pocket of her resistance, international assistance, knowing a generous and cold, the Jew is never ready to pull the sign over the wall. And he shudders as he comes, and my rudder slowly turns me into the night. And here slip I, dragging one foot in the gutter, in the midnight echo hall. The shop that sells cheap radios, and there's a cheap, no bed, no bread, no butter, on a double yellow line, where she can park anytime. Oh, the Lady Grey, Crashberry waltzer, some only son's mother, Baker Street casualty. Oh, Mr. Policeman, blue shirt, belly mustard, feet and sticking plaster, move the old lady on. Strange part the Dutch, Romeo to her Juliet, her sleeping draught, his poison regrets. No drunken bums allowed to sleep here in the crowded emptiness. No officer, let me send her to a cheap hotel. I'll pay the bill and make her well. Like hell you bloody will. No do good overkill. We must teach them to be still, more independent. have no time for Time magazine or Rolling Stone. I have no wish for wishing wells or wishing wells. I have no house in the country. I have no motor car. And if you think I'm joking, I'm just a one-line joker in a public bar. It seems there's nobody there for tennis, and I'm a one-man man. And I want no top 20 funeral or 100 grand. There was a little boy stood on a burning log, rubbing his hands with glee. He said, "Oh, Mother England, did you like my smile? Or did you light this fire under me? One day I'll be a minstrel in the gallery, a picture of the Queen. And if sometimes I sing to a cynical degree, it's just the nonsense that it seems. So I drove down through the Baker Street Valley in my steep-sided unreality. When all said and all's done, couldn't wish for a better one. It's a real life right, that certainty that I'm just a Baker Street Muse. Talking to the gutter, stinking, winking in the same old way. I try to catch my eye, but I look the other way. Indian restaurants that carry my brain, newspaper warriors changing the names. They advertise from the station stand, circumcised with culprit's head. When the bus stop click shop window, shady gentlemen fly button field. In the underpass, the blind man stands with cold flute hands. Symphony match center, breath out of time. You can call me on another line. Didn't make it with a Baker Street ruse. Couldn't shake it with a Baker Street blues. Like to take it, I'm just a Baker Street Muse. I'm just a Baker Street Muse. Just a Baker Street Muse. Just a Baker Street Muse.
Let me let Grace play. I'm sorry. Let me let Grace play. Hold on, hold on.
Hello, sun. Hello, bird. Hello, my lady. Hello, breakfast. May I buy you again tomorrow?
Okay, I have to. The ending of Baker Street Muse. I love when they leave little bits of like the recording in there. You can hear him drop his instruments, walking out the door of the recording studio, and he says, "I'm locked in. I can't get out." I love that. And then Grace is literally just a little sliver, a little 30-second sliver of Grace. Listen, throughout this whole album, really, I think I'm going to talk about the song. But I think the strongest element on a first listen through this album is Dee Palmer's arrangements. I think the way that all of those arrangements and all the strings and orchestration work around the music, it kind of just gives all of the music this coat of melody and interest and complexity that just enunciates and accentuates the beauty that's already there with the Jethro Tull, with their musicianship. It's like an enhancer to everything. That's just something I've been thinking about with this whole album. And I've listened to the first side again. My personal favorite songs so far are Cold Wind and then Black Satin Dancer, I'd probably say. But Baker Street Muse. This is, at least it sounds like to me, an autobiographical journey of Ian. Just going back in his nostalgic roadways down to Baker Street. And he is the muse of Baker Street. And he's kind of retelling his story, musing over his beginnings and his life, perhaps exaggerating certain parts with a little bit of artistic license. But this is a really, really good track. It's really hard to put it all together. I can't tell you like where I'm coming away from it immediately because it's complex. There's a lot going on for a first listen to gather it all. But I can say that I think that this album, I think this and Songs from the Wood are possibly the band's most locked in albums. It's where I feel like it's truly a group effort and the band all shines together brightly. Obviously, in all the other albums that I've heard, they do the same. They all shine brightly in all of the albums. But there's something characteristic about Songs from the Wood and this one that they just feel like they feel tight. Tighter than usual. Kind of making the music that they've always wanted to make with no compromises, with no holding back, with no restraint. But with a direction. But with an outlook, with a perspective that only they have. And they fulfill it. Like I said, that could really apply to whichever album you like from the band. It could apply to all their albums, but I'm just feeling something different about Minstrel in the Gallery, specifically here. Bar, what is there to say? The folk sections in the music, Bar and Ian are magical. Whenever those would occur, I was swept away in Ian's whimsy, in Bar's delights, and once again in Palmer's orchestration and melodious floating that he sends us off with. I mean, we get several moments in the music where it's very folky and acoustic, and honestly, I think those are some of my favorite moments. And not only in this track, but in the album as a whole. There's just something about the way that the band carries themselves there that I find very special and very attractive. And then there's that one reoccurring riff throughout the song that I could not grab a hold of. It's like, bum, 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 bum. I can't even recollect it. It was so hard I couldn't even grab it even at the very end when Ian's about to walk out. It was just a hard riff to grab onto. And like lyrically, I was following it. And like I said, I think this is talking about Ian. Because this album's kind of had a more personal take than some of the other albums. And it says, I was reading on Wikipedia, it says that this may be, of course, influenced by his recent divorce. Even the song like One White Duck, Zero Nothing at All, could very heavily be referencing that. But I think that this is kind of him going over his life and just putting his personal musings to music, basically. But let's go ahead and walk our way back through and come back here. Also, really love the way that they begin this one. Throughout the album, we've been getting these little side views at the band in the gallery playing, kind of like a troupe that's playing there for in the court of a king or so. And I love how like they start off the song, they're like, take two. Curses to himself. That's really funny. Adds a new dimension. But so you really hear it here in the beginning. These acoustic sections are just so rich. And even as they move into it, this is that riff, by the way. I can't catch it. I've tried so many times listening to it. Hold on. Give me one more try. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I think I kind of did better that time. Did a little better. All right, so moving on from there, they have a dynamic way of carrying back and forth between the acoustic and the electric. And I think here, specifically because of Barr and what he's playing, it works so well. He is kind of like that electrifying flow that's banding everyone together. And it's all high voltage from there. I didn't mean to skip that far. But can you feel Dee Palmer's influence throughout the whole track? Not that they've ever needed an orchestra or any extra accompanying strings, but there is a certain kind of oomph that Dee Palmer's arrangements give the music, especially as they're playing in this gallery. It adds a certain air to everything. And along with not only Dee Palmer's arrangements, but the drumming, the bass, everyone really. I feel like the band, counting out Ian for a moment, the band are the stones across the river of Dee Palmer's arrangements, and Ian, with whimsy, skipping without a care in the air, like the man he is just skipping those stones and dancing across it, doing a jig, playing his flute, and singing his heart out. He is always singing with passion, but I think that this track shows some of his most intimate singing as well. His most thought-provoking lyrics, introspective lyrics, and some of his most enigmatic phrasing. Because his phrasing is always really, really a delight to listen to. But I think here you can really feel that skipping stones leapfrog kind of delivery he has as he dances, in a sense, with the music itself. There's an infusion of tenderness and romanticism in the music that I don't think has quite been touched on as much or fulfilled as much in other tracks and other albums that we've listened to. That's why I said, like, this one feels different. I think all of their albums actually feel different from each other's albums. You know, none of them really sound the same or hit the different marks. I'm sorry. All of them hit different marks. They're all kind of standing on their own in their own respect. And I think that's one thing that's interesting about Jethro Tull at this point that I've listened to, is that they don't, at least they haven't grown stale. They're kind of always doing something kind of new. Even if it's a similar formula that they've established, they keep on growing, expanding, experimenting, and perfecting it. So this
Baker Street casualty.
has that same sway and suave Ian,
Oh, Mr. Police.
but with an open heart. Strings. Gorgeous. And what wonderful playing from Barr. Man, I love his phrasing. He has some of the best phrasing in rock music. Or folk music, depending on where you're looking. And then if we push up, from this they build up. Continuously they build up. There's a certain pride that's being felt in the music. And I think that there's a certain pride in the way that Ian's singing, because he's singing of his neighborhood, where he grew up, the place where he lives. And I think that we can all kind of relate on that level. We all grew up somewhere. I would hope and I would imagine a lot of us probably grew up in a decent situation. Obviously, some of us didn't. But you have a certain nostalgic connection to your home, to where you grew up. You have a certain pride if it's a place that you enjoyed, where you grew up. So I think that that's what we're kind of feeling here from Ian specifically in his singing, that pride. But yeah,
He said,
bar.
"Oh, Mother England, did you
Superstar.
learn my smile?"
Let's get to this climax, though, huh? Let's get to that. Right here, it's gonna come on. A little
With
bit.
cold blue hands.
It's coming. Because we get a nice reprise of what occurred before. Bring us to the lyrics again. They're very sharp. Love that marching beat. Like we get the reprise. Ooh, that's a nasty riff. We get the reprise of the lyrics, right? And then this march. Okay, it sounds like this. Ian grew up Baker Street. Walking down the streets, he was a little runt. No, I'm not saying literally, but like he came out of Baker Street with a certain perspective. We all grow up with a certain perspective in wherever we lived, right? Then we go out into the world, we have experiences, we grow up. Perhaps one day we make our way back. Okay? We left the pauper, we come back the prince. That's this triumphant marching beat, the more confidence in his voice as he sings the same lines from before. He's coming back to Baker Street. A man, the prince, no longer the pauper. That's at least what I kind of feel like when I hear that and going back to that section and the way that he just, chin up, chest out, back arched, feet straight, and his triumphant return. Coming back to the track, the song is basically broken up into 4 different sections. 1, Pig, Me, and the Whore. B, nice little tune, which was a nice little tune, actually. Crash Barrier Waltzer, Mother England Reverie. So that's what I mean, like, you can even see the progression just in the titles. He kind of exaggerates in some ways, but he kind of denounces himself. He calls himself a pig and walking through, like, the brothels and the red light district kind of thing going on. Plays a nice little tune, Crash Barrier Waltzer. And then in the end, he's kind of paying respect. He's paying respect to Mother England and, of course, Baker Street, where I'm imagining he grew up. Let's talk about the lyrics on this one. Windy bus stop, click, shop window, heel. Shady gentleman, fly button, feel in the underpass. The blind man stands with cold flute, hands. Symphony match cellar, breath out of time. You can call me on another line. So that's why I really think this is really about Ian. I mean, he even says with cold flute hands, like perhaps that's the only thing he has. Then he talks about some of the restaurants. And I love the line, Indian restaurants that curry my brain. Like, that's all he can smell, but it's like in his mind now. Newspaper warriors changing the names. They advertise from the station stand with cold print hands. Symphony word player. I'll be your headline if you catch me another time. I love that. Like, he's really just describing and bringing us along into the city, onto the street with him. Then he says, didn't make her with my Baker Street ruse. Couldn't shake her with my Baker Street bruise. Like to take her, I'm just a Baker Street muse. I kind of take this in 2 ways, right? He couldn't get with this person or this metaphor. He's just relating it to a person. He couldn't get with her. He couldn't fall in love with her. He couldn't make her fall in love with him, or at least just be together. It didn't work out. He could be talking about a literal person, kind of like actually relating to his divorce just before this album, I guess. But he also could be talking about the actual place, Baker Street. It just didn't work out, hence why he left, perhaps. That's another way to think it, huh? And then talking about the section, Pig, Me, and the Whore. Big bottled Fräulein, put your weight on me. We know what that means. Said the pygmy to the whore. Desperate for more in his assault upon the mountain, little man, his youth a fountain, overdrafted and still counting vernacular verbose, an attempt at getting close to where he came from in the doors of the stars between Blandford Street and Mars. Proposition deal, blind button feel, which he repeats from before. So a deal has been made, and testicle testing, wallet ever bulging, dress to the left eye bulging, the wrinkles in his years, wedding bell induced fears, shedding bell and tears. In the pocket of her resistance, international assistance. There's a really funny cadence in the way that he's describing this ordeal situation. And my brother slowly turns me into the Marrowbone Road. So he's talking about going down these different streets. In this particular street that had a red light on it, he had an encounter. And then at the end, he's now moving on to the next street, which is Marrowbone. I couldn't read. Marylebone Road. Some only son's mother, Baker Street casualty. So now he's finding someone that's a casualty of Baker Street. Oh, Mr. Policeman, Blue Street Ballot Master. Because I guess the police were going to kick that person out of where they were trying to sleep. And then Ian says, officer, let me send her to a cheap hotel. I'll pay the bill, I'll make her well. And the cop's like, no, dude, no. So he's trying to help. And then he kind of goes back in his own mind. He says, there was a little boy stood on a burning log, rubbing his hands together with glee. He said, oh, Mother England, did you light my smile, or did you light this fire under me? I like that. Did you make me smile, or the burning log that I'm standing on, did you light that fire? And then he has a little bit of an affirmation. One day I'll be a minstrel in the gallery. Is the title of the album? And paint you a picture of the queen. And if sometimes I sing to a cynical degree, it's just the nonsense that it seems. And then he talks about going back to Baker Street. And like I said, there's a little bit of triumph and confidence in his voice and who he is and pride in where he came from. That wasn't necessarily there before. And that's all I have to say on the matter. That is all I have to say. Listen, I hope that you guys enjoyed the music. I really hope that you enjoyed listening to the album alongside with me. Thank you for being here. If you've watched all the videos, thank you. If you've watched this video and that was it, thank you. It's all thanks from me. So I hope that you enjoyed it, though, on some level. Of course, you're more than welcome to come back tomorrow, see what we got going on. I can promise there'll probably be some good music. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like. I post every once in a while. You can support me on Patreon if you'd like to do that as well. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. Oh, check out my movie reaction channel if you're interested. Link down below. And that's it. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye.